Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is women and intimacy. If you don't know me, I'm Casey Lepper. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've been trained as a professional counselor, specializing in individuals and couples who want to live their best life. I also am a spiritual teacher and have been trained as a coach. So just a reminder, hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's dive into intimacy as it relates to women. So what I want to do with this video is I want to explain what intimacy is, and I want to broaden what intimacy means and hopefully clear out some stigma, while giving you some essential questions that you can ask yourself and tools for you to get more connected to intimacy that feels right for you. So many people that come into my office can struggle with intimacy. Maybe they don't know what pleasure means to them. Maybe they lack desire. Maybe they've learned through religion or their society or their culture that intimacy is bad, and so they carry shame around intimacy with them. And as a result, they're disconnected to a side of themselves, and it usually comes up in relationships where there's an issue, one person desires it more than the other. And so this topic is really, really complex. There's a lot of pollution with it, and there's a lot of stigma. And so I hope to clear all that out and make you feel empowered to get connected to intimacy in the broader range of the word. So let's define intimacy. Intimacy refers to one's ability to emotionally and physically connect to another person while maintaining their independence and their own identity. And so it's not just about sex, it's so much more. It's our ability to be attuned to another person, to mutually support another person, to feel understood and connected with by another person. So it really encompasses a wide range of expressions of intimacy, where a lot of people will think primarily you show intimacy through physical acts or sexual acts, but it really is so much more. When we feel intimately connected with someone, we generally feel a deep sense of attunement, of acceptance, and of support. And so it's one of those pillars in relationships that makes us feel safe and secure. And I think because intimacy has been so misconstrued and connected to just sex, it can be a topic that brings a lot of shame, that people can feel like they need to hide, to keep a secret, and they're not so vulnerable with it, which the lack of vulnerability around this topic breeds more shame and breeds more understanding. And so intimacy includes mutual respect and support, emotional attunement, and the sense of feeling understood by another person. It includes feeling authentic and having the ability to self-disclose and to be open and honest with another person. That they're not going to judge you, they're going to seek to understand you, they're going to be curious with you. Being intimately connected with someone also includes a sense of being autonomous. So it's not that we're the same as the other person or that we have to change ourselves to fit with the other person. A real intimate connection and relationship allows us to be ourselves. So we have a sense of freedom, of our own identity, and from that whole place, we can come in and connect really deeply with another person. And it can also include play and eroticism. So play is this sense of, jesting with a person or being able to poke at each other, being able to just have those belly laughs together. So think about the people in your life you find yourself most connected to. I imagine that there has to be a sense of levity, of lightness, of humor, and that's a really amazing way that we feel intimately connected with someone. And then you have eroticism, which isn't just about sex. It's about this magnetism, this push-pull, this sort of buildup of intensity and curiosity and mystery. And so eroticism is really derived by the Greek root eros, and eros is connected to this mysterious magnetism type of love. And it's one that brings a lot of vitality and a lot of pleasure to us. And in my research and my experience, it's one of the types of love that is most misunderstood and has most been demonized and shadowed by particular cultures, societies, and religions. And so this is all what intimacy includes. It's not just the eroticism, it's also the play, it's the autonomy, it's the mutual respect, the mutual attunement, and emotional connection. All of that is like the umbrella that encompasses intimacy. And usually with the people we're closest to in our life, we want that emotional connection because it makes us feel connected while also playful, where we can be serious, but we can also joke, where we can push the boundaries and we can challenge each other, but we're also also really sensitive and generous with each other's energy. And so that's what intimacy is. Again, it's a complex topic, but I want to broaden that view so you understand intimacy is a lot of different things. And there's a lot of different ways we can intimately connect with each person. Now, there's a history of intimacy and desire and pleasure with women specifically. So I do find that most women who come into me and they're talking specifically about their lack of desire or lack of pleasure when it comes to intimacy, or a wall that feels like it's built up because they've had either negative experiences or they're carrying around some mental shame that's been taught to them by parents, religion, society, culture, etc. So when that woman first sits in front of me, I always notice that it feels like they haven't really been able to talk to many people about this, that they're carrying so much of that shame, that they feel like they're not attractive enough, that they're disappointing a partner, that there's something wrong with them because they can't feel pleasure. And so the first thing I do is I'll listen to the story of what they're telling themselves, and then I'll offer some questions that I want to share with you. And the thing about these questions is if you write them down or you ask yourself these questions, it can point to the direction of where is this problem or this block with intimacy really coming from? Because again, some people it comes from what they learned from their parents. Sometimes it's connected to someone's religion. And sometimes it's just they haven't spent enough time or have been trained or asked the right questions to gain understanding about intimacy and what it means for them. Because it is a complicated topic, because it is a stigmatized topic, we tend to avoid it, especially in this Western culture. Now, in other cultures, like in Denmark, they have something called a love week, where even from early on, they teach about what it means to really love someone and age appropriate share how you can connect with someone. Maybe it's holding hands, maybe it's hugging. What do you feel when you want to hold someone's hand? And that's just something that is really, really missing in our culture, which is why it's become so polluted, so distorted, and so full of shame. So I'm going to go through 6 questions that you can ask yourself that's going to help you gain more understanding. And after this, I'll go into some more specific tools to help you open up this idea of intimacy within yourself. The first question is, what is my relationship to my body, to my physical appearance, and my expression of intimacy? The second question, is it that you don't desire intimacy or you don't desire the intimacy you're getting? The third question, what has my culture, society, and upbringing taught me about what to expect with intimacy and desire? The fourth question, do I feel deserving of pleasure? The fifth question, do I know how to verbalize or express what is most intimate and pleasurable to me? And the final question, do I know what turns me on? And can I turn myself on? Now, the last part of that question is connected to eroticism in the bigger sense. So like, what makes you feel alive? What makes you feel that spark? If every single day we're doing things that don't challenge us, that don't make us feel alive, that don't stimulate us in a way, then oftentimes we don't have that necessary energy to find that vibrancy, to find that sense of aliveness in our own life, especially when it comes to connecting with another person. So that last question is about checking yourself to see, are you doing things that stimulate you outside of the bedroom, outside of the relationship? Do you feel stimulated in your life? So like I said, those are some questions that you can really connect to, ask deeply, consider, reflect, and it's going to point you in a general direction of what needs to be worked on. Maybe it's you don't love the sex that you're getting or the intimacy you're getting. You're not feeling really connected to it and you need to learn how to verbalize it. Maybe it's that you're carrying shame and stigma. That is an inner belief that's blocking your expression. Or maybe you just haven't spent the time asking yourself. And so it's just a muscle that really hasn't been built, but can through reflection and experience. This last section, I want to give you a couple tools to help you create more space for real intimacy in your life. And one of those tools is being able to see what things actually get in the way. So when it comes to a lot of the women I work with, they tend to be go-getters. They want to do everything. Maybe they're mothers. They want to be at the meetings. They want to pack their kids healthy lunches. They want to be the best wife. They want to be a career woman. So they're pulled in so many directions. And when someone is pulled in many directions, they don't really have a time to just sit and be. And so they're not naturally connected to a deep intimacy because their mind is running through all the to-do lists. And so if this resonates with you, the tool I would suggest is writing out all the responsibilities that you're holding and seeing which ones you need to prioritize, which ones you need to let go of, and which ones you need to give away to someone else. Maybe a spouse, maybe an assistant, maybe you just need to delete it altogether. And so create that list of responsibilities you always have in your mind. One common narrative I hear from a lot of women I work with is that by the end of the day, they've thought about everything that has to do with their kids, their spouse, their work, their responsibilities that they've never even given them a single thought throughout the day. So if this sounds like you need to prioritize your own self and intimately connect with yourself first. So that can look like, what does inspire me? What activates me? What makes me feel alive? And what makes me feel creative? Get connected and add more of that aspect into your life. And then you'll start to see, oh, there's actually more room. So most women really tend towards caring too much about too many people. And it's born out of this beautiful thing. We love to nurture. We love to be warm. We love to take care. But if it's out of balance and we're not taking care of ourselves, then I find intimacy is one of the quickest things to go, because intimacy requires a stillness in the mind, a presence within the body, a connection to yourself. And if you're really busy or if you're always prioritizing other people above yourself, it's really hard to get it. So part is reorienting your schedule and your priority list so you make room for connecting to yourself, to be playful, to have spontaneity, to do things that excite you, and to really reflect and say, what makes me feel alive? And how can I add more of that into my day-to-day life? The second thing is a practice where I want women who struggle with this just to sit in their own body and think to themselves, where do I feel pleasure in my body? Where do I feel mystery in my body? So when we're living in our mind, often we're disconnected from our body and we're not even paying attention. And so this is just a way to lightly meditate and body scan by asking and connecting, like, what would make me feel excited? What would make me feel turned on? What would make me feel desired? So all important questions that you can ask yourself. The final piece is, if you feel really shut down by intimacy and, for whatever reason, if you've had trauma or a history of abuse or anything that's really shutting it down, another tool that you can do is reading some type of romance novel. And so this can sound funny to people when I suggest it, but with women, we're so about the romance and the novelty and the mystery that when we're reading it in a story, it takes a different effect than when it's in our own life. And I find it can be a safe way to open this up that doesn't feel shameful. It's not including another person, so you don't get into any headspace or, complicated feelings about that. It just includes yourself and a book, and seeing if you can open up your imagination, your fantasy, and your connection to romance and mystery. So those are 3 tasks or tools that I'll give clients who are struggling with this. And this is just a way to apply some of those questions that I asked earlier and put them into practice, and then experiment and see, is it that I was too busy? Is it that I was taking care of too many other people? Or was it not giving enough space to even connect and understand intimacy within myself? So I hope this video was clear to you, that you felt like you understood intimacy at a broader level and why it's just this energy source that's connected in each of us. And that when we open it up, I think there's a certain level of radiance and luminance and beautiful vitality and magnetism that opens up in women. And that because we live in our culture and because there's such a stain of what sensuality or eroticism or intimacy really means, there's just not a lot of room for us to connect with it. And so asking yourself those questions, giving yourself some space, I hope makes you feel more connected to that energy source. So then you can open up, be creative, be magnetic, and ultimately shine in your own life. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.